Dennis Rader looked like the kind of man you'd never think twice about. A husband, a father, a church leader, a Boy Scout volunteer, a man who mowed his lawn on Saturdays and enforced city ordinances during the week. Someone who waved politely to neighbors and sat quietly in the front pew every Sunday. But behind those ordinary routines lived one of the most controlled and cold-blooded serial killers in American history. A man who named himself BTK, short for Bind, Torture, Kill. The method he used to take 10 lives over the course of 3 decades. Rader's crimes began in January 1974 with the Otero family, a brutal attack that shook Wichita to its core. He bound each family member with meticulous precision, demonstrating a disturbing level of patience and preparation. When detectives arrived, they didn't just see a crime scene. They saw the work of someone who enjoyed control, someone who took time, someone who viewed human beings as objects for his fantasies. And Rader wasn't done. Not long after, a mysterious letter arrived at a local newspaper. Inside were details only the killer could know. Descriptions of how he tied knots, what he said, what he did. The writer complained that he wasn't getting enough attention. He ended the message with a name he created for himself, BTK. For Wichita, it was the beginning of a nightmare. For Dennis Rader, it was the beginning of a double life he would maintain flawlessly. What made BTK uniquely terrifying wasn't just the violence. It was how easily Rader hid the monster inside him. He married a woman who believed he was gentle and reliable. He raised 2 children who saw him as strict but loving. He became president of his church council, organizing meetings and events, all while keeping trophies of his crimes hidden away. During the day, he enforced rules as a city compliance officer, issuing citations for uncut lawns, loose animals, or trash violations. Residents described him as overly strict, even controlling, but they never suspected that the man lecturing them about property codes was the same man who stalked strangers at night. Rader's need for dominance wasn't limited to his victims. He wanted control in every corner of his life. His neighbors felt it. His co-workers noticed it. But to most people, he was simply a stern, meticulous man who liked order. His next murders followed a familiar pattern: surveillance, planning, breaking into homes, and binding victims. He operated with patience and precision, sometimes waiting for hours. The killings weren't spontaneous. They were fantasies he spent years developing. Then, suddenly, in 1979, BTK disappeared. For decades, Wichita wondered, had he died? Moved away? Was he in prison for another crime? The fear slowly faded, and the legend of BTK became a ghost story parents whispered to their children at night. But Dennis Rader didn't disappear. He simply enjoyed the silence and the power of knowing no one had caught him. By 2004, long after anyone expected his return, BTK re-emerged. A local news station received a letter filled with old details, old memories, and old arrogance. The message was clear: I'm still here, and I want the spotlight back. Over the next months, Rader sent packages, puzzles, and taunts. He left notes hidden inside cereal boxes, sent photocopies of stolen items, and even created a symbolic doll posed like one of his victims. He wanted attention. He wanted recognition. He wanted to prove that after decades, he was still smarter than everyone else. But his ego finally destroyed him. Rader sent a message to police asking a simple question: if I send a floppy disk, can it be traced? Investigators responded, no. Rader believed them. The disk he sent contained hidden metadata, linking it to a computer at Christ Lutheran Church, specifically to a user named Dennis Rader. With that single mistake, the decades-long mystery collapsed in seconds. Police quietly gathered DNA from his daughter's medical records. It matched BTK. After years of outsmarting detectives, Rader was arrested in 2005 during his lunch break, caught with the same calmness he had used to commit his crimes. In interviews in court, he explained every murder with chilling detachment, as though he were recounting instructions from a manual. His face never changed. His voice never cracked. He spoke about tying knots and staging scenes with the same tone someone might use to explain a home improvement project. His family, stunned, heartbroken, had no idea. Dennis Rader received 10 consecutive life sentences. He will die in prison. Today, his story remains one of the most disturbing examples of a killer who didn't hide in the shadows, but hid in plain sight. A man who prayed with his community, raised his children, and enforced the rules, all while feeding fantasies that turned into nightmares for 10 innocent people. BTK wasn't just a murderer. He was a master of disguise.